Every day we make decisions about what to do with the stuff we don't need. Once it goes into the garbage, it ends up in the landfill and gets added to the 40 million tons of trash we've thrown out over the past 50 years. And landfills aren't always the best way to deal with our waste. Here's why. A landfill may seem like a big hole in the ground, but there is much more than meets the eye. Today's landfills have protective systems to protect public health and the environment. Experts use these systems to make sure that the stuff that ends up in a landfill stays in a landfill and doesn't contaminate our air, land, and water. These protective systems come with a cost, as much as several $100 million over the next decade to build and operate. Our landfills are filling up. Getting a new landfill approved is becoming very difficult, as no one wants a landfill in their backyard. That's why our existing landfill space should only be used for items that can't be turned into new products. The good news is that most of what ends up in a landfill can be reused, recycled, or composted into new materials. Calgarians have embraced the existing recycling, composting, and waste reduction programs. These efforts have added up to millions of kilograms of material being turned into new products every year. But there is still more we can do. When we look at what's left in our household garbage, we find that more than half is food and yard waste. So what's the big deal if it's buried in the landfill? In nature, there is no waste. When an apple falls to the ground, it breaks down and turns into soil. But that's not what happens when an apple ends up in the landfill. Food and yard waste doesn't break down into soil, compost, or anything useful because there's no oxygen. Worse yet, food and yard waste creates nasty stuff, like liquid leachate, as the moisture from the food and yard waste oozes through the garbage, picking up other contaminants. If not collected and treated, leachate could contaminate groundwater. As the food and yard waste slowly decomposes, it also releases methane, a greenhouse gas that is 21 times stronger than carbon dioxide when it comes to causing climate change. Fortunately, the solution to this problem is simple. Just compost it. Food and yard waste can be reused and turned into nutrient-rich compost. Composting exposes the food and yard waste to oxygen, which allows it to break down as it would in nature into compost, a valuable product that is used in gardens, parks, and farms to improve the soil. That's why the City of Calgary piloted a green cart program. The pilot went well, with participating homes cutting their garbage nearly in half. The food and yard waste collected was turned into compost rather than being buried in the landfill. Composting is another way we are working towards keeping 80% of our garbage out of our landfills. By doing the right thing, reducing, reusing, recycling, and composting, we are making a positive difference today and for our future. Remember, it's too good to waste.
You know, so often in our kitchens, we throw things out that could have some long-lasting benefits. You know, sometimes in even my kitchen, banana peels and eggshells and coffee grounds and things like that end up in the trash can when they really could be composted and make some lovely soil for your garden plants. Reed Admire of the Urban Food Loop shows us how to rethink those particular food items that tend to go to waste by helping communities with composting and creating marvelous soil.
So composting is really important because almost 40% of our nation's landfills are filled with food waste. And that creates carbon gas and carbon emissions, and we're all familiar at this point with the greenhouse gas effect and how big of an impact carbon emissions are having. If everyone was composting, that would be cut by 40%. And compost is also a natural resource that's valuable. It can be worth up to $300 a ton, which is about a truckload. But instead, we're just throwing that into the landfill. Annually, according to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, we're wasting $168 billion in natural resources because we're throwing food away. So the process of the urban food loop, a customer can sign up, they get a bucket delivered to their house, they scrape all of their food waste in weekly. At the end of the week, we come by and we pick it up and switch it out with a clean bucket. We take the food waste, we compost it on our site or at one of our community partner sites, Dunbar Community Gardens, Western Hills Park. I turn the compost every day, all week, until it's that fine black material. Customers can opt to have the compost returned to them in bulk for fall planting and for spring planting. They can also elect to have seeds started. So this season we're starting kale, beets, carrots, and some flowers, and we will return those to people's home gardens started in the compost that was created from their food waste. In the next 10 years, long term, we'd love to see trash, recycling, compostables on the street. That's long term. Short term, we'd love to have 100 customers signed up and participating by this time next year, and really connecting more and more people to Dunbar, to Little Rock Urban Farms, to South on Main, to really see the local food movement not only grow, but to have people participate and become involved into the local food movement.
You could call it urban fruit gleaning. I mean, gleaning is the old term for basically going out and harvesting food that is left over. Gleaning has been done for years and years, mostly in agricultural areas and stuff, so we're taking it to kind of an urban setting. Stop. It was kind of an idea that's been brewing for a while. You know, walking down the streets of Portland in the summer and in the fall, you see tons of fruit just going to waste on the sidewalks, and through my work at Growing Gardens, I work with a lot of low-income people and know that fresh fruit is a really hard thing to get. I mean, it's expensive in the stores, especially organic fruit. So it's, you know, just seems like a simple connection that needs to be made is get this fruit that's going to waste into the hands of people who can eat it. Today we have a group of volunteers harvesting fruit that would otherwise go to waste. Right here we're at Mark's property. Mark has this vacant lot here, and that he planted these Asian trees about 10 years ago, Asian pear trees, and he's not able to harvest all the fruit. Every year he struggles to find people to take them. And so we organized a group of volunteers to come out here. We're harvesting the fruit. The volunteers are going to take home as much as they want, and the rest is going to go to a local food pantry. Here you go. You know, last time I took the fruit to the Northeast Food Bank, I was, you know, just asking them, are you sure you can use all this fruit? Like, you know, should we take it, you know, half to you, half to another food bank? They were like, no, this will go in just 2 or 3 days. So yeah, it's definitely going to good use. Our response has been really great. Volunteers are just really excited about coming out and harvesting and taking fruit home, and of course the food banks are really appreciative. The tree owners seem to really appreciate, you know, people coming out and doing the hard work for them, because a lot of people, like I said, with big fruit trees just can't keep up with it. It's just a nice way to bring people together in their community, meet new neighbors, get to go out on a Saturday afternoon and harvest fruit together. It's really fun.